Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Everadaptive Podcast. I'm your host, Becky Flowers, along with my co-host here, Sarah Budson.
What's up, guys?
What's up? You look very put together, and I forgot we were
Do I
recording, so
do I know?
you do. You do.
I cut
Mentally,
I cut
maybe,
my
but
hair off. Maybe that's why.
you did. How you cut off 4 inches, right?
Something like that. It needed it. It was so dead. It
I
feels
love.
so much better. It feels so much better. Like literally the last like 4 inches were just like straw. It was so bad.
When was the last time you cut it?
I get it like trimmed regularly, but I've just been trying to hold on to that length for way too long. You just cut your hair too, though, didn't
I
you?
did. I have it up because I literally just did a leg day. But I did the same thing because when I was competing last year, I was like trying to hold on to it so I could have the length for show. And then I chopped it after North Americans, and then it just has gotten shorter and shorter. So I think it's like here now.
That's crazy for you. It was
It was,
so long before.
it was almost down to my butt. It was down to my butt because I had to curl it so it didn't cover my upper glute.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, mine was really long too. Like I was just saying, like
Yes.
my hair has not been like above my nips in years.
You're like, I'm free. You need to cover them.
But yeah, so well, it's also been like a very hellacious week. And I sat down in the chair. I was like, my hair's dead. We need to cut it like 4 inches. And she's like, are you feeling okay? And she literally started dry trimming it before I could even second guess myself.
She's like, I've been waiting for this.
Seriously.
No, it has
I'm
been
like,
a hell of a
oh.
week for you. So
Yeah, it's been awful. So, those of you who do not know, Toby has been very, very sick for the last week. Had to take him into the emergency vet Monday morning, a bunch of urinary things. He's had two surgeries, and I am praying so hard that he gets to come home this evening. So,
I hope so.
finally, because he was supposed to come home on Thursday, and then he ended up having to have another surgery yesterday, and they wanted to keep him again overnight to monitor him. And so far, the update this morning was that things were trending upward. So
Which is good. Good. So you'll have to keep us updated next week.
I need my little bean home and healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. He's such a rock. Poor Toby.
I need him here. I've been a mess.
You're like, I'm not mentally well right now.
I'm not okay. I'm not okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's why my hair's short.
It's fine. It looks great. And it was needed. So we're good.
Everybody wins, I suppose.
Exactly. All right. So we wanted to talk about the importance of posing today, especially because
Yeah.
it's junior Nats, and then we have Universe in a week.
Universe is, I think, next. Let's see. It's July 4th to July 6th.
Is it
So
really?
yeah,
They're doing it on July 4th?
apparently.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, so oh, that's 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we got Masters Nats, and it kind of just like rolls. Like all the national shows are, a lot of
Right.
them are right here.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, there's so many.
Yeah, because
I'm looking at them all. Sorry.
no, junior Nats. I was trying to remember. This is not the one where you have to win the overall to get the pro card.
No, they do every class, I believe.
Is it okay?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is one of the bigger ones, but it's very competitive. Like Junior Nats is a really, really good show. This is the show that I was supposed to be doing this year.
That's right.
Yeah,
Forgot about that.
sad. Very sad.
Ah, that's okay. On to bigger and better things. When you step on stage,
No,
oh, it's gonna be like undeniable.
it's that's just the thing is like making that, decision to, okay, what's going to be better in the long run, keep running and gunning for this, knowing that I'm not going to be 100%, or take a step back, pivot, handle what's got to be done, and come in whenever that may be that I'm actually ready. So
I was literally just listening to a podcast this morning and they were talking about the national shows and how many competitors will get qualified. And I'm guilty, get qualified and then go right into nationals when you aren't stacked up to be there and you have to grow, and how draining that is mentally, physically, and financially on you because they're not cheap. So
Yeah.
if you can take the time and get really healthy and grow even more than you already have, like why not?
And nail your posing.
And Neil, you're posing, so let's go into that.
That wasn't a shot at you. That was just like, wow, this is a perfect segue into it
No.
because how many times do we see, people that have a pro level physique, but they do not present it correctly? And that's the reason why they don't get their pro card, right? Like
Yeah.
it happens a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. And don't let that be you. Like,
No, no. And I mean, I know that wasn't a shot at me, but let me just say on North Americans, I forgot to do my sign off. It was like just a little like, woo, and okay, here we go. So don't feel like that. Make sure that you are doing the reps that you need to be okay. And I mean, I still did it and I forgot it. So you're gonna have
yeah,
those points. So don't, I guess, narrow that space that you can, that airspace or whatever.
yeah, for sure. And like, I'm always gonna revert back to my situation, right? It's like I haven't been on stage since 2021 and like my posing's better than it's ever been. Like I've been in a very long off season. Like that doesn't mean you stop posing, Becky. That one was at you.
As I can't even do my back pose because I'm so stiff. I'm like, oh fuck. So that one, yeah, yeah.
That one was a shot at Becky. But no, don't stop posing because I mean, I can't even tell you how many girls come to me and they're, some girls have done previous shows and then maybe that was last year or 2 years ago or 7 years ago. And they're like, yeah, I don't remember anything. And you're starting over from ground zero, right? It's
Yeah.
it's it's a process. And like, why wouldn't you just keep that up so it's automatic and be able to continue to build off of it? So it's not something that you have to deal with on top of prep.
Yeah. That, I think that's a big one for a lot of us because it is so easy to just, you're in the off season, you're in an extended off season, you don't know when you're going to get on stage. So you're like, whatever.
Plus, you feel fluffy and it sucks. Like, I get it.
I
Like,
feel
I
like
get it.
real.
I have hated posing for the last 3 years, but you know what? I still fucking do it.
I feel like I might break my heels. Like I'm a little too heavy for these heels these days.
Shut up.
But no,
If I'm not gonna break my heels, you're definitely not gonna break your heels, okay?
we'll see. Um, but that is such a good point. Like it's hard. It's hard when you can't see the lines, and it's almost like that little ego boost where you're like, "Ooh, I can see the hamstring. I can see the rear
Mm.
delt." Like,
You know what? Even at that point, like pose clothed. Who cares? It's
yeah,
not about, necessarily how you look in the off season. It's keeping that movement, that muscle, worked and continuing to get those reps in. So it's automatic. And yeah, when you're, leaning out, then you can worry about how you actually look. But like just keep that momentum and keep it going because that's the most important thing so that you're not trying to try to remember what your steps are or relearn your flow or whatever the case may be, like you can do it in sweats for all I care. Half the time I'm posing in shorts and an oversized t-shirt.
I like
It's not necessarily like, oh, how am I going to look? Like what's my shape look like right now? Guess what? Your shape right now is not what it's going to be on stage when your posing matters. So keep the flow of it and keep your memory, your muscle memory there and your mind there so that it's not something that you have to completely relearn and hammer into the ground when you're depleted and tired and dieting and exhausted, right?
yeah. Very, very true. Um, God, what was I gonna say? I don't remember. Oh, I was gonna ask you. So in off season, how often would you suggest your girls pose versus prep?
Well, obviously prep. I mean, you want to be doing it multiple times a week at minimum, if
Yeah.
not daily, even if it's just a run through, a couple run throughs. But off season, I mean, I usually pose just a 1, 2 times a week, just for 5, 10 minutes, just to keep it fresh. It's not like I'm, necessarily restructuring my routine or anything like that. It's literally just keeping that muscle working. And making sure that I'm not like forgetting my flow. And a big thing is, and I'm very guilty of this, is only posing in my regular shoes in off season, because girls, posing in your heels is a whole nother ball game, especially when you haven't been on stage in 3 years. Pose in your heels. Yeah, you can do some run throughs in your tennis shoes, your gym shoes, whatever, but make sure that you are continuing to break out your heels and pose in your heels, because it is so different. Everything feels different. Your front pose, your back pose, everything, your transitions are all going to feel different. Your balance, like
Yeah.
everything matters. And that's something that I'm very, very guilty of, is not keeping up with posing in my heels. Not only that, but like you're sore as shit after you do for the first time in so long.
Fuck yeah. I'm like, man, my lower back.
That, and usually my calves are cooked the next day.
When
Yeah,
heels,
so
yeah.
that's the big, big thing, is making sure that you keep your movement in too, but also bust out the heels, girls. Bust out the heels and continue to pose in your heels. Just keep that flow, keep that momentum, because it does make a difference and it will pay off. A couple minutes of doing that, once every week, 2 weeks, it's going to pay off. You can take the time to do it.
I think that's such a good point. It feels so different in your gym shoes. Like I can do it so much better in my gym shoes than the heels
Same.
because of the balance.
Right.
Like
Yep.
you don't have to worry about anything or falling over or walking in the heels.
Right. Yeah. It's so, so different. So
Yeah.
it's very important to keep on top of. Next point I wanted to kind of mention here is just with the importance of posing and your stage presence and confidence and everything like that, how much it really truly does matter, right? Like I recently, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, I had a girl compete. And it was her second show of the season, second show ever. She did all of her posing on her own for the Grand Rapids, which was 4 weeks prior to this last show. And she did really, really good on her own. Like I was very impressed with how much her posing was. She looked good
Yeah.
doing her posing on her own. But the week after Grand Rapids was the John Simmons, and I had a couple clients competing at the John Simmons, and she was there and she saw a couple of my girls on stage. And so she had reached out to me at that point and she was like, "Hey, I know this is kind of like a time crunch here, but I'm competing again in 3 weeks. And here's like my last routine from last weekend. I just want to see, what we can kind of polish up and clean up here. Um, so that I can bring a better package, when I go back on stage." And so I've been known to make posing miracles happen on a time crunch.
Yep.
But we worked together for 3 weeks and she took the novice overall. Like she fucking killed it. Like
It looks so good.
she did. She looked amazing. And just like her side by side videos from the Grand Rapids to her stage routine when she did the Michigan Natural, just night and day difference in just her overall stage presence, her confidence, her smile, her posing, her flow, like everything looked so much better. And that's what got her three first places in an overall, right? I mean, in the open, she's also very young too. So like she needs to grow into the sport quite a bit. But in the open, she took fifth out of 10 girls. Like her classes were pretty big and she took three first place and a fifth in the open. So like plus the novice overall. And so like she did way better than she did her first show. I don't remember what placing she got in her first show, but just overall, her whole stage presence was just so much more polished and so much more put together. And that's the difference it can make, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's more that confidence. Like you instilled in her, okay, I am doing this, let's tweak this. And just having that 3 weeks of practice is just the difference that it can make in the
Hmm.
confidence.
Hmm. And it also speaks volumes to her work ethic too, right? It's like she has, she was coachable. She took all of her pointers and took everything that I had to say in regards to these are the things that we should change and how we want to kind of do these things moving forward. And she nailed it. She fucking nailed it. She killed it. And I couldn't be more proud of just the insane amount of progress she made in those 3 weeks, especially, between having that video of her first stage video to 4 weeks later, working with me and having that second stage video and just like, it was just so much more polished. And that's the difference that it can make.
Yeah, I agree. She did so good. What was her name? Shout her out.
That's Kendall. She's awesome. She's a little killer. And if she sticks with it and she does, a more extended off season, puts on some size, like she has the potential to go pretty far. So
Because she's still in her teens, isn't she? She's
18, yeah.
18. Holy shit.
Hmm.
Damn.
Yeah.
I love that. I just always think like I started at 35. Like,
Mhm.
what potential does that girl have? That's
Yeah.
freaking cool.
Right. And not only that, but like at the John Simmons, like my girl Alana, like she was 19 and she took the overall. She took like the overall. Like she crushed it. So it's been a good season for my posing girls so far.
Yes.
Like they have been doing so well. Plus I got that my girl that competed in the OCB, she got her pro card
Yeah,
early
that's
this
right.
year. So it's been a really, really good season for my posing girls. I'm so gosh, like I love it so much. I'm so proud of them.
Good. Yeah, it has been really good. Who else do you have coming up? Do you have anyone competing?
I have one girl, I think she's doing a show in Florida I want to say she's like 4-ish weeks out.
Okay.
She hasn't been like super consistently posing with me, but she's done a handful of sessions, honestly, like over the last probably close to a year now. And she's made insane progress. So, she's up next, I think. And honestly, I don't have a whole lot like up on the roster for competing this season. A lot of girls have been kind of coming to me last minute. And I've just been kind of doing like polish ups on it.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm not super busy with it right now, which is okay because I've been kind of focused on a lot of different things right now. Just between work and my full coaching, and I've been detailed like it's just so many different things. So, and then this whole past week with Toby, where I literally had to tell everything, just like, sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
you have to
busy.
clear your schedule. Yeah.
So
So if you were thinking about competing, you've never competed before, just because we talked about two girls that this was their first season of competing, what would you say to start posing with a coach before you even think about prep?
early is better. Oh my God, I forgot. I do have another girl. I do have another girl that just came to me a few weeks ago and she's competing in September.
Okay,
And she has never posed before ever. She is 3 sessions in and probably would do better than most of the girls on stage right now with her posing because she's fucking killing it. So
good.
yeah, yeah. So dude, like the earlier the better, truly. Like, especially if you don't know what you're doing. I would if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have the confidence to kind of figure it out yourself, like even your basics, because that's what this girl did. The one that's competing in September, she's like, I've never posed before, and I didn't really want to start on my own because I don't want to do it wrong and have to like relearn.
That's smart.
If you kind of are able to like observe other people and kind of get a feel for it on your own and like get basics down on your own, do it. But don't forget to seek those that know what is actually being looked for and how to shape your specific physique because not everyone's posing is going to be the same. Earlier is the better. Like that girl that's competing in 4 weeks, like she started over a year ago. She was still building
Mhm.
before she was even going to be, she had no idea when she was going to compete. So she's like, all I know is probably sometime next year, but I want to get my posing down for like now so that it's not something that I have to worry about down the road. And that has
Smart.
tenfold paid off for her because it's not something that she has to worry about adding to her plate right now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's so smart. Um, I shit. I keep like having these thoughts and then I forget them. Um,
I'm gonna have you write them down while I'm talking.
I seriously I need to make notes. It's just my brain right now. Um,
I feel it.
shit. What was I gonna say? Anyways, I don't know. But I think I agree with that too. I definitely was one of the ones that thought I wanted to prep, didn't think that I needed to think about posing until it got closer. Oh, I remember. Okay. So if you are going to try to learn on your own and you've never competed before, or you've competed for in the past, like years ago, look at the most current posing on YouTube or Instagram, whatever you're looking at. You don't want to go back even a year because it changes so much. So make sure that you are learning the correct poses for what they want to see right now.
Current, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super important. But go into what you were saying about you were one of those ones that,
I did not think that I needed to pose until it was closer because I almost felt like I was a poser. Like I didn't want to feel like I was like a fake person. I don't know. That's like huge for me. Like I don't want to come off as fake ever. So I didn't want to feel like I was like playing dress up. And that's how I felt. And then I got down to the freaking wire and I still didn't know what I was doing. And that's when you had to come in and save the day and make sure I didn't look like a huge fool on stage.
like an Irish dance girl.
It was so bad. So bad. And the thing is, like, I was posing once a week with my then coach, but it wasn't enough where, like, I guess she wasn't mean enough to be like, you need to work on this and this is not good. Like, and I needed that. So,
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, you can like I look back at those videos of you when I first started posing you, and it's just like, yeah, no, like it was like a baby deer trying to walk, baby giraffe trying to walk for the first time. And like you compare that to, your most recent show, and it's just night and day difference. Like, we still have more work to do, but it's like, dude, like you have come such a long way. And that's how it is for everyone, right? It's like you can't expect to start off and like act like you don't know what you're doing. No one does. It takes reps. It takes that muscle memory and ingraining that in every single limb of your body to know what every single inch of your body is doing at every given time. It's a lot. It's a lot to do. It's a lot to like be conscious of at one given moment, especially when you're making so many movements in such a short amount of time, knowing where every single inch of your body is and how certain poses are supposed to feel, not just looking at them in the mirror because you're not going to have a mirror on stage.
oh, that's good. Go into that one because a lot of us will pose in front of a mirror 90% of our prep. What does that do for
Yeah, and that's okay to do, but eventually you're gonna have to remove your training wheels, right? It's like you have to be able to know how everything feels because you're not gonna have that mirror on stage. So you can't be looking down at your feet or, where your shoulder is or whatever. You have to know how it feels to be able to hit those poses without a doubt.
Yeah. What I ended up doing because I was a huge mirror person and it really was my training wheels. I had to set up my tripod, put my phone on just the back, and then I would record myself and then I'd
Mhm.
have to watch it back and adjust. And it was really freaking time consuming and annoying, but it worked.
Right, right. And yeah, I mean, I'm totally not against, even now I pose in front of the mirror, but I'm still able to do it without.
And you still do it without, like, it's not like you only do it in front of the mirror.
Right. Yep. So it's something very important. There's so many different steps. There's so many layers to posing and actually getting a flow down. And like that's something that I see too is girls that just feel so like robotic or like just like stiff, right? It's like you can learn you can learn how to be flowy. It takes time and some people take more time. It does take more time for certain people to be able to get out of that like pose, okay, these are the movements I have to make, be robotic instead of just being able to make one kind of fluid flow through it all.
I think that's a huge point because if you are not naturally like a flowy person, you might think that you're doing something wrong because you always hear like, oh, I was just flowy, I was blah blah blah, just natural stage presence. Like, no, sometimes you have to teach yourself how to flow and how to have a stage presence. And it doesn't mean that you're not meant for the sport. It just means that you have to do a little bit more work on certain areas.
Yeah, agreed. And that's probably one of the biggest, like one of my favorite things about posing coaching is seeing that confidence and that stage presence just like bloom and like watching that build up in girls and seeing it go from being like unsure or like a little bit slow to like things clicking and like that confidence and just that is everything to me because that spills over into everything too.
It really does. And like everything beyond bodybuilding, your whole
Yep.
life, you will gain so much more confidence.
Yep, agreed. And this isn't just bikini posing too. Like this goes for all categories. Like posing is so freaking important, knowing how to present your body correctly. So if you don't have a posing coach, I highly, highly, highly suggest getting one, no matter what category you're in, because there are people that have an eye for it, that know how to articulate different movements and different poses of what the actual judges are really looking for.
I agree. What do you, oh my God, what categories do you currently work with? Is it wellness and bikini?
Yeah, just bikini and wellness. Mostly bikini, but I have helped out with a couple wellness girls. My one girl that took the bikini overall at John Simmons, she crossed over and her wellness routine was beautiful. She did pretty good in wellness too, just she wasn't as stacked as some of the other girls. So, yeah, her wellness routine came out beautiful, and that's something that I'm not gonna say that I'm perfect at it, but it is something that I have recently introduced and I do feel confident in teaching it now. So,
Perfect. Last question. If they want to hit you up for posing, which guys, you should, she definitely will take you from a baby deer to I don't, forgetting your routine on nationals. It's fine. But no, she will pull me
Darren always Darren always calls my posing girls my stallions. So,
her stallions. Oh, so if you want to be one of her stallions, hit her up on Instagram.
yeah, Instagram, DM me. I Instagram, Facebook, whatever. I'm on it all. But yeah, I'm very flexible with my availability for it. Most of my girls are virtual, but if you're in the area and it's a doable drive, I will do in person. I hate doing it just because it takes up so much more time. But it is helpful to have an in-person coach too. So but I have had a ton of success with my virtual girls. I mean, I've had literally all across the states. So, I mean, for a while, most of my girls were out in Arizona. So,
I feel like that is a like just ending topic. Like you don't need an in-person posing coach.
yeah, a lot of girls do say, well, I need someone in person. And it's
Mhm.
like, you might think that, but you probably just don't have the correct person that can articulate things correctly to make it click. And that's something that I will say I'm very good at is finding different terms or different like terminologies for people to like they'll latch on to, and
Yeah,
it'll make it click, and they're like, oh, like that's what we're looking for. Like, yeah, that's what we're looking for. Like, so imagine this or imagine that. Like, imagine this isn't, what you're looking for in this pose or feeling that. And a lot of people don't know how to correctly articulate that so that it does click for people. So,
I agree. And you are really, really good at that. And you are really good at not having the person feel stupid. Because I have had a couple posing coaches where, like, I will just feel like I'll get off that call and feel depleted and just defeated.
mm,
So you never, ever, even when I was like a hot fucking mess and 4 weeks out, like, you never made me feel stupid.
that's something that I'm really like, I I want to make sure by the end of your session, like you feel empowered. Like, because all of my girls make so much progress in such a short amount of time. Like, it's something that I really pride myself in is building up that confidence.
You were really good at it. So just to say it again, if you guys want to hit her up, I would highly, highly recommend her. And yeah, you got anything else on posing?
And if you compete in other divisions, you can always reach out to me because I have plenty of people that I can refer you to as well. Oh, that was completely inappropriate.
Stop it.
Anyways,
All
thank you
right.
so much for hanging out, guys. Just want to reiterate, like, the importance of posing, it really can make or break you. If you need help, reach out. I can either directly help you if you're in one of my divisions, or I can refer you to someone that I really trust because I do know a lot of really great posing coaches in the industry as well. So thank
Perfect.
you for hanging out, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.